Welcome. My name is Corinne Waldow. I'm the Economic Development Director for the Boulder Chamber. I want to thank you for attending today and participating during these weekly webinars around field services and real estate. These are really your opportunities to ask questions, get updated information, find out best practices, and provide feedback. On today's call, you're going to get some information on frequently asked questions. We're also going to be asking you questions, some polling questions throughout the end of the program. Please submit your question and answer to the Q&A feature on the webinar, and we'll get those asked at the end of the program. I want to thank all our county partners, whether that's the chambers or economic development or downtown or convention and visitors bureaus, for getting this information out to our businesses so they can safely reopen. At this time, I'm going to hand it over to Lane Drager with Boulder County Public Health.
Thank you, Corinne. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And thank you to all the partners for continuing to share information and bring folks to these webinars. So today, there's going to be a few things that we'll recap. For those of you who've joined these in the past, this will be a refresher for you. But if you haven't joined in the past, we'll try to catch you up to speed. Talk a little bit about our face coverings. Really what it means to still be under the safer at home. A lot of what we've been doing is developing resources to help people be successful, comply with the orders, and understand what they need to do. And then the bulk of the time, we're going to really focus on question and answer to cover what you need to know and what you're struggling with. So an overview of our timeline. Really, again, we've been under the safer at home now for a little while, and we're expecting that will continue at least until May 25th. We're not sure what will change for this sector specifically. As you can see, there's been a few things mentioned at the state level of things that they are anticipating updating. So more information on summer camps, restaurants, some of the ski areas. But we have not heard anything specifically to this sector, but we will be anxiously anticipating what comes out. And if there are changes, we'll be rolling that out to this group. So really looking, again, long-term, safer at home will continue to evolve. We're really still looking at a long time frame before we're ever really out of all of these orders. Really the things that we need to see within our community are large-scale immunity, and that comes from a vaccine, potentially a treatment that could be developed. But again, we're looking at months and months before we're at a place to see something like that. So under stay at home or safer at home, we still want people to try to stay at home. The COVID virus is still very contagious. It's still a concern for folks. So it isn't back to normal and everybody go out as much as you want. We still really need people social distancing, and that face covering order is in effect. So people do need to have face coverings unless there's a reason that they cannot wear it that has a medical or mental health reason when they can't social distance out in public. We also wanted to share some data with all of you to really show that what we're doing is working. So one of the metrics for us on seeing where we're at to further relax orders is looking at kind of the new cases that are coming in for us to do investigation work. So obviously there was some significant spikes, but things have really come down under that stay-at-home order. So we're seeing success there. So this is a really critical piece for us, because if we see those numbers really spike out of our capacity, then we no longer can stay on top of all the case and trace investigation work that we need to do. So that's a really critical piece that we want to see that success continue as we continue to evolve in safer at home. And now I'm going to turn it over to Amber Sutherland, my colleague, and she's going to walk through a lot of the details for your sector.
Hi, everybody. My name is Amber, and I am the business liaison for field services. And last week we really just reviewed the requirements on the checklist, and so we're going to skip over that this week and just dive right into some of the general Q&A. And these are located on our FAQ on the Boulder County website. But I'll just dive right into this. So what are some examples of allowable field services? Some of these include landscaping, lawn care, house cleaning, handyman services, electricians, plumbers, in-person real estate showings, and marketing and appraisals, and all of these are allowable with restrictions. So looking at social distancing, wearing masks, and those can be found on the checklist. So next question, are in-person real estate showings permitted, and are closings and relative activities allowed? So yes, they are, with restrictions, such as, you know, additional sanitation and social distancing. Are open houses allowed? Still, this is no, they are not prohibited at this time. And then number 4, can I show occupied home properties after May 8th, and will mask requirements still be enforced? Yes, occupied properties can be shown now, and the mask order, which is PHO 2024, is still in effect. And so just requiring everybody to wear masks for these particular showings. And then number 5, this is a new question we added from last week. Is there liability with the listing agents going in and out of homes after each showing? We did get some information back from our attorneys on that. And basically, they determined that Boulder County Public Health cannot provide legal support, and they would encourage you to speak with your own attorney regarding that particular matter. And then lastly, number 6, when employees are working outside by themselves, do they have to keep their masks on? And does this apply to tree climbers who are up in a tree? So as I mentioned, the face covering order is in effect, and would require you to wear a mask, you know, whenever you are working with someone, and also maintaining social distancing. However, if you are a single person up in a tree, you know, nobody else is up there, and or it's a specific safety hazard for you to be wearing a mask up there, then at that time you would not need to wear the mask. So next, just wanted to review these on our websites. These are where the checklists can be found. But basically, if you need any other additional information, such as ADA guidance for employee health, let's see, like summer camps, graduation ceremonies, and then scripts for businesses on face covering order. And then we also have social distancing space calculator on the website. But just to give you some ideas of what else is on there besides just the checklist. And then just wanted to briefly review some of these with you. A couple of them Veronica shared last week for the additional real estate guidance document and the showing log. And then I just wanted to show, if anybody is still struggling with finding resources for masks and gloves, there is some guidance on our website. So I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can pull this up real quick.
Amber, while you're doing that, Energize Colorado also launched their marketplace this week. So
great.
I showed that on the last call. I can do that later as well, but you can show what the Boulder County has, and Energize Colorado has a marketplace for PPE. Okay, great.
Yeah, so this is the one that's located on our website. So masks, gloves, thermometers, and plexiglass shields. And there are, you know, some posters on how to put the mask on your face, how to remove it properly. And then here's all the resources on where to get face coverings.
Amber, you're not actually sharing the website.
No,
you're
I'm
still
not
sharing your PowerPoint. So you'll need to unshare that and share the website.
Okay, thanks. Great, so I'll start over again. So this is masks, gloves, thermometers, and plexiglass shields. And this is the face covering how-to guide. I was mentioning how to take it off and proper disposal. So where to get face coverings. So there are some local resources here, and then just how to make one of your own. The gloves, you know, how to remove the gloves properly, and then just some local suppliers and online suppliers that are carrying those. And then thermometers, plexiglass shields. So that's what the resources that we have up now. And then next, just going to, this is another one that Veronica shared from last week. So just additional guidance that can be found. And that is, it's basically what the checklist is here at the bottom, so. And then the showing log, this is a sample of, you know, a showing log that you might want to be using for documenting So then I'll go ahead and go back to the presentation. And so then next, we just wanted to talk briefly about outbreaks. I did hear back from a couple of contractors this week that were concerned on, what they needed to do for reporting. So just wanted to briefly just go over. So if you have 2 or more confirmed cases or suspected cases within 14 days, immediately send out the CDPHE COVID-19 outbreak form and go ahead and send that to the COVID Biz email. And then we will help you determine what actions are needed next for that. And there is more information on outbreaks on the CDPHE website, and I can post that link later for everybody that needs a little more additional information on that. And just a reminder, so CDPHE cannot provide legal advice, or sorry, Boulder County Public Health, not CDPHE. And just note that compliance is obligatory. We're really working to compile standard guidance with our attorneys, just for like all of field services, working to try to get you the answers that you need. And then we may need to supplement or change guidance just based on, we also look at, what some of the other, like Larimer County, Jefferson County, what are some of the recommendations that they're making, and to develop our own as well. And then just any additional questions about compliance, just noting to, you should really contact an attorney if it's something kind of sticky or difficult. And then here's just a few more resources to go for information. The Boulder County COVID-19 business, COVID19colorado.gov, Chamber of Commerce, Small Business Development Center, industry associations, licensing agencies, and the city that your business is residing in. And then just another note, industry, other sessions. So here we are at Field Services. We did add hospitality on Thursday, and then we do have the weekly Spanish sessions as well. And those can be found on the Boulder Chamber website to register for those. And here's our email, and we do have a call center also that's taking business complaints and calls through this center. And so lastly, just want to propose some discussion questions. We're interested in getting some feedback for these. And did you mention they should put the answers?
No, I'll launch some polls. Each of these are a poll question. So
okay.
Please send in any question and answers you have, but I have some poll questions. Now, mind you, you might have to change what these mean, because customers being some of the people you're showing houses to, or and so forth. So I'm going to launch the first one, which is, in the last 24 hours, what % of customers do you estimate wore a face covering while patronizing your business or working with you? So while that's going on, please submit your Q&A through the Q&A feature. Answer your any of your questions, or ask any of your questions. Answer this poll. It's good feedback for Boulder County Public Health to understand the face covering and social distancing piece.
And I was going to just add one more clarification, that question about if people are working alone in this field services arena, do they still need to wear a mask? And the shortest answer is no. Unless you're having personal interactions either with coworkers or customers or what have you, if you're working alone, you are maintaining social distancing, so you do not have to wear a face covering. It's only when you are working around other people or customers, having those personal interactions, where you need to have a face covering.
Okay. All right. So then the second question that's been brought up to you is, how would you rate customer behavior or behavior of those out in the public at maintaining at least 6 feet physical distance from other customers and staff? Maybe when you're out showing a house, is this something that isn't being followed or not followed? While this is going on, I know one of the questions you didn't answer this week, but has been answered in the past, And I still got a bunch of questions about it. Vehicles. Going in vehicles with other people, what should be the best practices on vehicles, whether it's coworkers at a tree care facility or someone that's showing a home?
Yeah, so the best practice for that is really, thinking about maintaining the social distancing. So, if you are, taking to someone being a home, it looks like they're probably riding in the back seat, and you're both wearing masks. And if you can have the windows down to just increase air circulation, that's probably the best. And, say you're going to a job site with someone that's kind of along the same practices. So, thinking of social distancing as much as you can in the car, and then wearing masks as well.
Okay. So the next question that we're going to ask you, the participants, is what is most stressful, if anything, for your staff or you about the face covering and physical distancing requirements? This could be whether it's in your real estate offices or your tree care offices or out doing your work in the field. We see a lot of the fear of getting sick out there, and so just want to acknowledge that people are not alone in that area, and that's one of the reasons all the measures are going into place. Great, thank you for providing this feedback. This is kind of supplemental to the survey that Boulder County Public Health sent out, and I forwarded to you on Monday morning. Wayne, what are you going to do with the survey results from that survey?
We're going to be compiling that and sharing it with our policy makers. So we have a Board of Health meeting this Thursday. So we're going to be sharing all the information that everyone shares with us so that they can see, how effective the mask orders are being implemented.
Okay. And then the last question for the attendees is what resources and support would be most helpful to your business at this time? Check all that apply. And that one is out for you. Do we have anybody that wants to submit questions to Ambra or through the Q&A? We do have Matt on the phone who can talk a little bit about offices, and then Veronica with Boulder Area Realtors Association is also on the phone if there's any specific questions for realtors. They're a quiet group today, Ambra. Of course, the guidance hasn't changed much in the last couple of weeks, so.
Right.
Okay. Well, thank you all for participating in that. Does any of the attendees, I'm going to unmute you if you want to share some of the experiences you've had or things that have been kind of best practices you've done. You can raise your hand and I can unmute you. They're not even jumping at that. Oh, I have a Q&A. All right. I would really greatly appreciate some specific guidance as a flight school operator. We don't fall into any specific industry that has been presented. We're attending the field services, personal and retail, and feel overwhelmed. So this is flight school operator.
Right. I was just curious to see if you have any specific questions just about, is it, sanitation? Is it social distancing? Is it wearing masks? Is there any specific questions that you have that maybe we could try to get some answers for you?
And I'm going to allow this person to talk if.
Great.
And if you would like to you can either put it in the chat or you can talk, unmute yourself and talk and ask your questions. Lonnie?
And I guess I would just also share that certain businesses may fall into more than one category. So, certainly if you have an office space, it needs to follow the office space requirements for how you're managing staff, and then certainly if you have a public interface, how you do that. If you then have a component where there's flight training, that might be a personal service. So you're going to, follow those personal services pieces. So I can see where certain businesses are going to fall under multiple sectors, and each of the applications needs to adhere to the one that fits. So it is hard to catch every business as a standalone. So really looking at each practice.
All right, he's not able to participate because of poor internet, but as you've said, there's several different pieces to it. If they're feeling overwhelmed, they could probably send specific questions to that website if you want to bring up the website.
But again, for that specific scenario of in-flight training where they're both not able to be 6 feet apart, that sounds like personal services. So they would need to follow those personal services guidance. If it's training in the office space, maybe that is more like retail or something where they're really making sure they have social distancing and things like that. If they have a back office area, that would be their office space. So 50% maximum capacity, things like that.
So it can be overwhelming, especially those crossover industries. And if you, like I said, if you guys have any specific questions, would like the additional checklists or guidance from the other industries, we're happy to provide those as well as the taped recordings of the different industries. All right. I don't see any more questions. Are there any more questions for Ambra, Matt, Lane, Veronica? Well, if they come up during the week, do not hesitate to reach out to COVID Biz. Also, I do send out information following these webinars, including the signs, information on the resources that were presented, including where to get PPE, some of the new marketplaces that have opened this week. And if you happen to respond back to me, I will forward questions on, as well as direct you to resources if it's a quick answer like that. Oh, I have another question. Oh, this was a specific question about that flight, but keeping aerosols or breath away from each other within 6 feet while we're using a microphone to transmit on the radio. That's a specific. So I'm not sure you're able to answer that one, but I can capture it.
Yeah, I think it's a little challenging because if you're wearing a mask, it might not come through clearly. But I would just say, that you probably are social distancing, between people there, and then you're sanitizing the mic after each and every use.
Yeah, I think you're going to need to wear masks when you're not able to keep 6 foot. So if you're both in the cockpit of a small plane, I don't think you're 6 feet away. And you likely can, I think, speak, clearly enough, but you're going to have to make sure and look at what are your restrictions, what's going to create other hazards, and what's really feasible.
Okay. One additional resource that I'm going to send out to this group is that the Boulder Chamber put on a Reducing Your Liability and Risk webinar with a lawyer and an insurance person and an HR person. And some of the questions that you are not able to answer because you don't provide legal advice were covered on that webinar with the lawyer, as far as additional things to think about and some additional resources in those areas. I'll share that so that people have other resources, legal resources that they could access. So I will do that. And Lane, do you mind if I ask the question that you answered in the Q&A out loud so that everybody could hear it?
No, go ahead.
The person asked, I have a box of restaurant gloves. They are not latex or nitrile. Are they okay to use? And your answer was yes. So, all right, seeing as we don't have any more questions, we want to thank everybody for joining us this week. Again, bring questions, bring feedback. We'll ask you questions on these calls. We will get a shared recording of this, a list of all those resources, and opportunities for additional participation. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you for organizing.